You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's True Blood After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's True Blood After Show.
Hey you guys, welcome to True Blood, episode 5, Lost Cause. We're like halfway there, you guys. Like
we are.
It makes me really sad, and I can't believe the things to come.
It has happened.
I'm Kristin Carole, and to my left.
Hi guys, this is Sara Stretton.
Hey guys, Scott Moore here.
So let's get right into it. This was kind of an interesting episode because Mace basically was all at Sookie's house for this big party. What were kind of your guys' favorite moments of the night?
Oh, I feel very strange because I feel like typically my favorite moments come out of like funny line, great scene, really good acting moment. What's coming to memory is I was tearing up this episode. They got me twice. That does not happen.
Well, Holly and Andy, right? Probably.
Holly and Andy.
I was a little
Holly and Andy.
Yes,
and then they
great.
got me again. I even wrote it down. I was like, what?
Was it Arlene?
Alcide and with the jacket and the pillow
Right.
touch. Yeah, I was going again. I was literally like, what? I wrote Alcide tear up on my hand, I think, because I was just so shocked. And that was nice to tear up again. I don't even know why. Maybe it's just a tearful night. Who knows?
Yeah.
But so that was an interesting kind of note they struck, and I kind of feel like they've been. If this show has like vibes, I've been getting like a different vibe off of each episode.
Right.
Like there was Memory Lane, and that was like good, and today was like, God, the tearful moments, and it's just all over the board, and I think that's fun. It's like giving, it's a really good like last
so many different
season to
feels.
have.
Yeah.
So many different feels. I have so many feels right now. I'm sure after we talk about overall feelings, I also have some fan commentary to say to our fans.
Okay.
So we'll come back to that.
Scott, what stood out for you?
Well, for me, I thought it was actually overall, even though there were those moments, it was lighter this episode, and I really kind of enjoyed that, and it was kind of all back to the main central characters that we've known and loved for a really long time. So I really enjoyed that. It was a nice break from a lot of doom and gloom and a lot of darkness and a lot of, from them being in the dungeons and the killings and everything else. It was nice to like have it back at Sookie's house, have this lighthearted party, have all of our characters together. So I really enjoyed it. I love the fact that it was just a little bit lighter for the most part.
I mean, it was drama filled, but it wasn't like killing drama
exactly.
filled.
It wasn't
was
killing
their
and drama
own
filled.
faults.
Exactly, and they were creating their own drama like they used to do. You know.
Speaking
it
of
was
that,
fun. It was fun to see them kind of get drunk and just be silly.
First of all, drunk Sookie is like one of my favorite. I wish she would have been even more kind of drunk like we've seen her. One of my favorite episodes of the whole series is when she's drunk and they try to go find Russell Edgington, like her and the 3 boys. And I was like, okay, well, I was looking forward to more moments like that. But just Holly with Andy was adorable.
Yeah,
we'll talk about more.
That was great.
And then there were moments where I wanted to just smack people that I don't usually want to like just shake.
Ooh,
So we'll get to the cheaters.
Ooh,
All of the cheaters. Lala. I love me some Lala.
Me too.
But it's like you cannot make excuses for cheating. And he should be with
are we
James.
getting into this?
Right.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's
Okay.
get down to the nitty gritty.
Before I speak out to
My personal opinion is I think they should be together. I completely agree.
Right. I agree with that too.
But, and even though it is, Lala was like, I know it's embarrassing for you, but he still should have not. There's a line. They're still together. I don't know. My personal opinion.
I mean, my personal opinion, yes, cheating is bad. Don't do it.
Don't do it, kids.
This is not me saying that.
It's a TV
My
show.
personal
so maybe it's
opinion
different.
is that Lala, as a friend to Red, messed up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the part of him that needs to apologize.
Yes.
But who betrayed their relationship is James.
Yes.
So, like, her anger needs to go out. But now, I mean, before, you know, her own actions, like, her and James, she had every right to be pissed and furious and kick him out. Like, even if they were having troubles, he needed to talk to her about it, confront her, and, like, make decisions with her in the relationship.
Yes.
Because him saying, like, she's not invested because she won't sleep with him. Well, you're obviously not invested because you've been basically, like, emotionally cheating for episodes now. So
Yeah, and she's obviously going through a lot of stuff, and to not. I mean, he's been talking to her. I just didn't. I don't know, because he wasn't invested. I don't think he put the effort.
Exactly.
in.
they didn't. Yeah.
And I also I agree with you, Kristen. I really thought it was awkward and kind of weird the way Lala handled that. It was weird because it was, you know, it was self-serving, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm sorry or whatever. It was more like, well, I care about him because I know more about him than you do, and it was just kind of weird. I was like, oh, this is no, it doesn't work
and it
like
didn't
that.
See,
feel
I
like
was
him
good.
either.
I
It was
was good
weird.
with the speech. I was good with it.
I
I
didn't
thought that
know.
like Lala has been so comforting to so many people.
No, and I get that.
And he needed to speak his mind, and obviously, like, this is what he really wants, and he feels, I think, coming from Lala's perspective, how I interpreted it was, it's like, he loves someone. He is in love with someone, and this person, maybe because this isn't being loved, like, they're not getting the love back, and he's like, I can actually love you. I can be there for you. I can care about you. And it's like watching something you care about, like, just suffering. And so I think that he was like, maybe I broke him out of this suffering, and it's a I love him and you don't. So you need to, like, figure your shit out.
I feel like, though, that speech would have been better if she wouldn't have caught them in the back of their car. If it was something where maybe he just talked to her in general, and she's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, oh, real? Like, if they had just talked and not done
Yeah,
stuff.
it still felt stilted and weird to me the way it happened, because it just doesn't feel like what you would say something like, okay, now it's okay because I love this person and you don't, but you're still with, you know, it was like, so I can go ahead and do this now and it's okay. It just, that's why it felt weird to me. I get where he's coming from, and I understand that he hasn't.
But I also think that Lala is he knew what he was doing before the cheating incident. Like, he made the decision.
Right.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't
He
like
dropped his cup and
wasn't
he was
yes.
ready to go.
Yeah,
Yes.
this wasn't just like drunk.
No, this
like,
was calculated.
Like,
No.
this was like, no, I am choosing
It
to do
takes
this.
a lot
And
for
at
Lala
least
to
he
be
went
drunk.
up and was like, okay, I made this decision. Deal with it. And wasn't like, oh, I'm so
Right,
sorry.
and it was-
I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to do
It'll
that.
never
I didn't
happen
wanna
again
hurt
or whatever.
you.
Yeah, I do get that.
Because, like, that's not Lala either.
No.
No,
Like,
he
if he
owned
was
it.
going to come
He
up and
did.
say something, like, to me, that was pretty much his option. It's like, I'm sorry, but I did this, and I know I did this, and I would have done it again, and this is why.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
get that.
And
I-
that was his speech to
and the
me.
fact that I think he needed to tell her that this wasn't just some little, you know, one night stand, or he was doing this as a physical thing and whatever, that it really did mean something to him, and this is why. So I do get that, but it still came across as weird to me. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
you know, that's like saying anything. It's like, wow, you have a nicer car. I'm just going to take it because my car's not working right now. That's what it kind of felt like. It's like, so it was weird the way they did it, but I get why he had to say it.
Yeah.
You know, saying it wasn't just like a
And I
one night
think
stand or something.
We all agree Lala's way better with James. I mean, just
Right.
their chemistry
Right.
when they're sitting there after Jessica stopped being a wet blanket. He's like, no,
Yeah.
he wants to, like, go have own private fun with her. That wasn't a wet blanket. I don't want to be at the party. That was, you're feeling good. Let's do something
Right.
for our relationship, because intimacy comes in many different levels, but that physical intimacy is important.
What the writers did do really well with this storyline is at least they're making both of their sides, like, up into, like, the cheating and everything. They made everything very justifiable.
Yeah.
Like, it was very easy to see why James was being drawn away. And it was very easy to also kind of associate with Jessica and be like, this girl hasn't been, like, eating for months. She just started that again. She just had this huge thing with Andy. Like, she's torturing herself so much that obviously she wants to be kind of with her friends right now. And it's like, sex isn't the first thing on her mind.
No.
And, like, you're seeing both sides, and that's a really good setup that they've done and, like, carried through for us. which I think is
Yeah, I agree. And the way
Yeah.
they've kind of slowly let it build too. And the connection with him, with Lala and James too. They've let it kind of slowly build and you see the connection. And so, yeah, it has been very good with that.
Do you guys think James will end up at Lala's place after he's done kind of sulking for a little bit?
I hope so.
I mean,
I think he's got to need a place to sleep.
Yeah.
it's true, but it's like I kind of feel like they're almost going to play to the tragedy of it and be like, Lala did put his heart out there to multiple people, and like James isn't now giving Lala the love in a way. Like, so I hope for Lala's happiness.
I hope so too.
I'm not convinced it's going
I
to
know.
Do you think
I hope
James
so.
hasn't come to terms yet with who he actually is and
I
what
think
he wants?
his last line of being like, I just want to be alone. You might be alone.
For a while.
I hope so though, because it would be nice to see Lala be happy and at least have something happy going on in the as we wrap up the series and seeing all the killings and the it would be nice to have him have that moment of happiness because it's true he hasn't had that really.
That's very true.
So
Yeah,
I hope so. It'd be a good
Jesus,
thing for the
really.
fans too. Yeah, exactly. But I think it would be nice to have him have at least that little happily ever after.
End of show. Just Lala sitting on his porch, happy. Everyone else.
And then we'll go with the other cheating because that was another thing where it's like I felt so bad for Jessica. She finally just made peace with Andy, and she catches her boyfriend cheating, and there's Jason to comfort her. And Violet being really nice about it because I think she's thinking she doesn't have anything to worry about anymore. And we see them together, and then once you know what, this isn't the first time though that they've well, you can't really call the first time cheating too much, but it was a betrayal of a different sort with Hoyt. I mean, they
Exactly.
just broke up, so it's not too surprising. But on the same token, I don't know. Again, I just wanted to shake Jessica then afterwards. I'm like,
I know.
You just
it's
had
like,
that
hello.
happen.
It really
Come
ruins
on,
their
guys.
relationship for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
and I guess that was supposed to be like a parallel between, their love-lust relationship and Sookie and Bill's. Like when like they might have a moment, but who jumps on it and who doesn't.
Right.
But it ruined their relationship a bit for me. I'm like, you guys, I don't know if you really are meant for each other. Because I was watching it and I literally was not invested in them having like sex. I was like way more interested in what Violet was doing. And I was just like, oh, great. Do you really guys think you're right for each other? You just seem to like form bonds when you're both, I don't know, one of you sad or something.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't.
There's a lot of grief sex going on.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like their relationship is like, oh, I'm pitying you right now. Oh, I'm pitying you right now. Like, do you guys have anything in common? Like, you think he's nice.
Yeah, it just felt it felt forced in a way to me. Like it was just kind of weird. It was like all of a sudden Jason's feeling this way about Violet, which we haven't really seen him do before, and then all of a sudden they're back. He's back with Jess. Like it felt a little forced.
Yeah, and I'm just like in the relationship. I'm like, what do you guys? What do you have in common?
Exactly. Except
What's
you're
like
both causing problems
you're
for
both
everybody
attractive,
else.
and you both sometimes have this complicated love lives.
Yeah.
But what's going on? Like in this scene, reinforced that where I was just like, okay. Clap of the hands, I guess.
I
Great,
think
you
it's
screwed
because
everything up.
it's a small town and there's not a lot of people that Jason probably hasn't slept with at
right,
this point.
that's true.
And I think they do bond with the fact that they're lost. Yeah, to go from, I actually liked their conversation that they had where he was talking about Violet, and to kind of see stuff that we had been talking about where like when he brought up the kids and, even just other little things that they had together where we were kind of like, it doesn't seem like this is a long lasting thing. And when they got the ring for Andy and Holly, where he said, as soon as Violet said, that's not a ring that I want, that hit him there, that this isn't somebody I want to put that ring on.
Well, I was wondering too, the other comment I think that probably disturbed me was when, even though I don't think it's really fair because you just said, which is true, he's slept with half the town at least, but when she made that comment about the hundreds of boyfriends that have died and everything, I think stuck in his head too when it happened later on, because I think that made him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When she made that comment to Sookie about, oh, I've had the hundreds of boyfriends have died on me. So maybe that kind of helped change his mind a little bit, but it's like, hello, she's been around for 800 years and you've done the same thing as a guy, you know.
Exactly.
So it's like
he was
kinda
around
double
for
entendre.
800 years. Imagine how many
Right.
women he would.
Maybe it was just added to the fact that we just said the spotlight on with Violet, but I was just like rooting for them through this, and like especially when she was like, okay, go, like I trust you, and when she was looking out for like the other people at the party, and she was, you know, she was being such a good person. And I was like, Jason, what
How
were
could you?
doing?
Well,
She was great.
Well, let's tease that too, because we got to do a spotlight on with the lovely Carol. I keep wanting to say Carolina. Carolina Wydra, who plays Violet, and she's just awesome.
Oh my
and
God, she is.
I told you guys, like, after I talked to her on the red carpet, I was like, you know, I kind of like her character more because I like her, and
Yeah, it kind of softens her character a little bit.
exactly, and you see where
that.
she's coming from, and
You
what she
learn that
puts
she's just so cool. I mean, like
Sarah made a new friend.
I'm like this seems like a girl you could just like literally like you go see a play, you could kick back with like a beer. She's like awesome.
I feel like with all the music she liked, concert.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
hang out with
Check
concert.
out the
Yeah,
spotlight
grab
on
a
Yeah,
guys.
you
bowl.
definitely should.
You're also going to then be rooting for
will be.
Violet and Jason if you aren't already on their team.
Yes, or just Violet's team.
Yeah, you're just gonna be
I
Team
want to
Violet.
see what
Seriously.
havoc she's going to do.
I know,
in
which
the
was
upcoming
great. Which I
episodes.
love the fact that, you know, she didn't barge through the door or anything. It was like, ooh, the revenge is gonna be even more like intense because she just walked away. And like, now she's gonna be planning something.
And I liked that. That was like also like a little
Yeah,
tricky moment
it
of like
was.
motivation where I was literally like, what is she thinking? I was like, is this planning revenge? Is this maybe she, as much as they mentioned her being like kind of weird in this episode, I was like, maybe she really doesn't want to like cause trouble in Sookie's house while all these other people are causing trouble.
I think I agree with that. I
Yeah.
think she didn't want to do, you know, being 800 years old, there's a code to stuff. And she's obviously a girl who doesn't like to lose.
Right. That's
So
what
I
I think.
think
I'm not
that's
liking to
more what it's
lose, and
gonna
she's
be.
gonna be planning something like, ooh, we have not seen the last of her there.
Yeah, like I'm
She's not gonna go
win.
quietly into the
Oh,
night.
She's
I don't
the one
believe.
who wants to like break it, like be like, I'm gonna fix it so I can break it.
I don't see her going off quietly in the night and be like, oh, okay, it's all right.
No, I completely agree with that. But let's go into the happier, if we're all done with the cheating for one episode.
I mean, was that enough? I mean,
I think that was enough. I want to get to happier things like the lovers in the episode.
so much
Love in the
You just need to
in
put
the
like
house.
it's like, what was the lost cause? I mean, you should put like a big heart around the title.
I know.
Exactly.
Maybe a
I
broken
just want to
heart.
like draw a heart on
Like
my
over the
notes.
cheating, I should have put like
Yeah.
a broken heart
Yeah.
and then a fixed heart. And
Yeah.
There we go.
Um,
Falling in love.
we talked about Holly with Andy, and I was so glad when that moment happened. And I liked, just to go back to tie it in with Jessica a little bit, his moment with Jessica outside that I didn't even think about when he said, to see you guilty all the time makes me remember.
Yeah, it makes it hard for me to move on, which was a good point. It really is.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Not what I saw coming.
No,
At
I didn't
all.
either. I did
No.
not either.
I was like, wow, realization. But I mean, Andy's
makes
totally
sense.
having a lot of realizations right now. And he's going through a lot. Sometimes epiphanies can't hit you. So
Yeah.
Well, it does make sense every
It
time
does.
if you see somebody and they look like they're about to cry, and then you go, oh, well,
It triggers it
she's
for you.
gonna cry because oh, that's right, she killed all my daughters. You
Yeah.
know, it's
No, it
very
makes sense.
difficult. And I kind of like that it was a moment between them. She was the first one to know about he was gonna propose, and his awkward Andy perfect way.
proposal was spot on. Like, oh my goodness. I was, as I said before, I was tearing
Yeah.
up. Like it felt so organic.
It did.
And then I love it when you get those like, they're not like just straight like this is what I'm going to say. And it was organic, but then it kind of also fed into these seeds of things he'd obviously had thought about too. Like he was like, but there are some things I want to mention that just fit so well together. And then they threw in a little bit of comic relief, which I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
I really needed that.
Yes.
I was like, oh, I almost got a little too heavy there.
Yeah.
It was really,
And
really
it was
well
nice
done.
too to like see them all, you know, like feeling good and looking good. You know, they're all cleaned up because we've been seeing her and Arlene and Jane like so, you know, in the dungeon for those past several episodes and dirty in the same out. And it was just nice that they were all cleaned up and feeling good and able to relax. And she looked great. And it was a nice moment for her, I think, too.
Well, and yeah, just to have like
as the character and the actor.
yeah, have such a party like that.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know
atmosphere.
how I felt about did you guys feel about them having a party like that when you first heard it in the beginning of that
I
episode?
felt the same way I think we were supposed to feel, like with Sookie is like, oh, I'm not, it's like it seems too soon, and like it feels weird, like you have all this stuff going on. But then after it started going on, you're like, this is exactly what everybody needed. Everyone needed that lighthearted moment. Everyone needed the chance to come together, and it was for the best for everybody to have that moment. So then I actually disagree when Nicole felt all weird towards the end about like, oh, how can we all party when everything's going on? And I was like, well, why not?
She hasn't lived in Bon Tom's long enough.
Right.
That's what that's about.
That's the thing also, though. It's like, for me, they even mentioned it a line. They called it a celebration of life.
Right.
That's kind of something that people really do, yeah. And especially in the U.S., like, it was traditionally, like, death was very morbid, very sad. But people have, I feel like, even in the past, like, 10 years, really embraced the title of celebration of life.
Right.
People do throw parties, or they try and relive really happy memories of people who've passed, and so I felt like they were kind of drawing from that. So I was really accepting of the party, like, kind of right away. I knew maybe it wasn't Sookie's thing, but I understood at least where they were coming from, like where it was like where you could rationalize it being okay,
right?
And like, I feel like there's a lot of other cultures also who do.
They do absolutely.
Like,
you needed that lighthearted moment, and you want to celebrate them too, like being out of the dungeons and being safe, and so it was nice for everybody to be able to have that. And I think after all the stresses they'd gone through, it was good, and I think it really helped mend a lot of the stuff going on as well, because you could hear when Sookie could hear all the townspeople, they were starting to.
Those were a little over the top sometimes.
They were.
A little cheesy.
They were very cheesy,
cheese.
but I think it was part of the whole thing of like bringing them there and helping to kind of mend that, and because I thought it was weird too, because like, well, if they were so anti-Sookie, why would they show up at her house? And so that was the thing kind of like was weird to me too.
Oh, because they can't turn down a get together.
I know, but
I
it
feel
still
like
felt weird to me.
all the people of Bon Tom's always show up for a party.
Always.
It's a small town.
But still, if it was her house and they don't feel like they like her, like I don't know. I know it's a small town, but I don't know if I'd want to go to someone's house if I felt like I was pissed off at them and like, well, I'll go party at their house now. I think this was weird.
I agree. The thing that bugged me at first more than anything was I could see them wanting to throw a party, but I guess Sookie's house on the one hand is a good location. Yeah. And the last time they did stuff at, I can't say Merlotte's anymore, but at Bellefleur's, didn't turn out so well, and it has some bad memories right away.
Right.
But Sookie's house has a lot of bad memories for people as well.
But not necessarily for all the town people.
But not recently.
Right,
you don't remember the Maynard?
Yeah.
Well, no, I know.
They don't.
They don't. But I'm saying it was also not recent either, so it's different.
Yeah. I think that was the only thing that kind of bugged me. It's like, you expect Sookie to kind of host a party when her boyfriend just died.
But it was interesting, too, because I don't know, don't you guys think? Because it felt like she wasn't... I know she was sad that he died, but it just was weird that she felt like, before he died, she talked about how she doesn't really love him in the same way he does, and then it kind of felt like, oh, now she really does feel.
I think she felt this is my take on it. If I was playing Sookie, this is how I would have viewed it. Was that I think she's just more sad that she felt that way with him. So him dying makes her feel worse about herself more than about him not being there. And I think she loved him in her own way too. I'm not belittling that, but I think part of the reason she was sad too. And I thought for a minute she was gonna tell Arlene with Jackson outside the door,
too.
like gonna say something like
wrong. Like I didn't really feel the same way. Yes,
I thought for sure she was gonna say like, I loved Alcide, but not as much as I should, and that's why I'm sad. Like I was waiting for it.
I was too. See, that's exactly what I was waiting for, because it was weird that he was outside the door, and then it was like nothing came from that. It was odd.
I think just to hear that she loved him too.
Yeah,
maybe
to help him. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, help him process it. That to know that how much Alcide loved her. When they were talking about it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he would fight only if something was worth fighting for. And I think maybe in the back of his mind, Jackson was like, I kind of know this history with Sookie and, everything that went on earlier before they got together. Maybe he was like, was she worth it?
I feel like that can't be done. I feel like we have to see more, because if it stands as it is right now, just him, like, I'm assuming, my take was he was the one who left the jacket out.
Oh.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why.
I was like, I didn't know if it was either obviously him or Arlene. And my vote was
Yeah,
him.
You're right. I think it was
back?
him, because he was talking about that earlier in the episode about
like
how
about
all
the
the
stuff.
You're right. Yeah.
And I was like,
So
I was
makes
kind
sense.
of like, I think that's what they're going for.
I didn't even think. I think
didn't
that's
either.
completely right.
You're
Because
right,
he
'cause I
got
was
rid of
thinking-
all the stuff.
He did. He got rid of all the stuff. But I was thinking what you were saying, Kristen, was I was waiting for her to say something to Arlene that he was going to overhear, and then
Yeah.
But that's a good point.
But I also don't think they can be like done.
No, I don't either. It was weird.
Like,
it was too.
It feels like they're trying to give us some puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
But about Sookie loving Alcide, I think that she always has, in my mind, like, she's never been like the head over completely heels over. But I always felt like she loved him, and there was always a chemistry between them, and I hold on to that through the season. So I'm like, I think that despite she was kind of having an internal dilemma with the relationship, but they've been having this flirty at least thing for forever before the relationship. So I think there's so much care
both
and
so
love
pretty,
there.
It's just bound to
There's
happen.
so much care and love there. I think that's what her heart is centered on right now.
Well, it's like if
And
a
on
good
that
friend
loss.
dies too, you know, more than the lover. I mean, that's what I always kind of felt.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to get into also other newer lovers, which we didn't get to see as much as. But I love Arlene with Keith.
I know.
Arlene's just great. I think every season I love her
I do
more.
too. I absolutely love her.
Carrie
Love her.
Preston's just flawless in her
is.
performance as her. And she's getting hammered throughout tonight, and her conversation with Sookie about Terry, again, kind of revisiting that. But on the same token, she's got this little crush now.
Yeah.
Moving forward, another theme of the episode. Moving forward, and they're fun. They're fun. Like, he's keeping up with her comic relief. Like, I was like, okay, they're funny. I'll take it.
But I liked it because it kind of like almost gave the permission for her to be able to have this new interest, because she basically said with that moment with Sookie about, it's always there, you just kind of move beyond it with time, but it's still always there. So kind of, I feel like as the viewers like gave her permission to now be able to have this fun with Keith and still feel like it's okay.
Well, we had Terry also, Ghost
Right,
Terry, say,
right,
I
right.
want you to be happy.
Exactly. So between those two things and tonight, I felt like
His
it kind of
image
left
was
it open.
physically replaced by Keith.
Yeah, be happy. Woo,
Yes.
here's Keith.
So that was good. I thought that was nice because it finally, I felt, gave her that last moment to be able to say yes, and now it's okay for her to have this fun with Keith.
She had
which I
my
love.
favorite line of the night, which was, I have to go tinkle, which
Yes,
is what
which humans do.
And she
Now
was-
that is clarified, because I think it was a question we might have had earlier in the
Yes.
season.
It's true, we
Maybe
did.
they're
JC
obviously-
did ask about
Yes, we
that.
did. Yeah, that's right.
JC,
They're
yeah.
obviously listening.
Let's
to
shout out to
us.
JC
They
too,
are.
who couldn't be here again, but will
Yes.
hopefully be here next week.
Yes,
you
he's trying to
guys.
turn into a vampire, so sometimes it doesn't always happen.
He's
Is
working
he
real hard.
Hep V stage 2?
Oh no.
No, gotta figure out how.
we have to get a
know how
cure
many,
for
how
that.
many stages are there? That's the one thing I don't know.
They've
three?
said it. They've said it, and
I know, and I don't remember.
guys, help us out, because you love to help us out.
You
or
do love to help us out.
Do you want to talk about that,
Oh,
Sarah?
should we talk about it? I actually do
Let's
have some stuff to say.
transition into it.
So last week, guys, you called us out about Miss Kenya.
Yes.
And this is what I have to say. You're totally right on one hand.
You are.
That we looked back and
And she's dead.
she died.
I screen capped it and put on Twitter,
did,
and I was
I
just
know.
like, oh my God.
I guess we must have all been too absorbed.
Blinking at the same
or
time.
something.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So good job, guys. You
Yes,
have better
thank
eyes
you.
than us.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the fact that we did miss it means that they didn't, to me, in my personal opinion, give us enough out of Kenya's death. Like,
Which we've talked about, and we talked about Tanya last week.
She was like a huge, part of the show. She's been on it forever. I didn't want 5 seconds. I wanted 20 seconds, center
And
focus,
just clearly
reaction
see it,
shots
because we couldn't.
of the death.
It was so fast. It was very hard to see it, and I don't think that they gave us, the viewers, that opportunity. And that's why I said part of my problems were from earlier episodes, is that they're killing people off so fast. They're not giving us, as the viewer, the time to really absorb it and to appreciate these characters that have been through so much with us over these past several seasons. And I don't think it was a fair send-off for her either.
And at least with Maxine's, which was also fast,
Yeah.
we saw, I mean, you couldn't miss it.
Right.
You saw her on the ground even afterwards with her face, and you're
Right.
like, okay, Maxine is
Yes.
dead.
And that's what we needed from Kenya. But I'm
glad they said, because I mean, I would have rewatched it anyway.
I would have rewatched it too, but it was true. It was so easy to miss
when
that
you,
last
catch
second.
something. I always
So
appreciate.
Sorry.
No, I know. 'Cause
Maybe
that was
my
a big,
contact
big
wigged
blue-
out or something. We
Maybe
probably
we all
were
like,
talking
said
about something.
We're probably like, guys,
Yeah.
did you see that? talking. And then we're like,
We
oh.
talk when we watch. I mean, we're big fans and we're all friends, so it's like when we sit and we watch it, we pay attention as much as possible. But if something does catch us off guard, I feel like we
Do you see
yell and
that?
talk to each other.
We need to talk about that, guys.
Right, but I do wish they, like you said, Sarah, I wish they would have given us a little bit more for her, so we could have appreciated that moment.
Exactly.
I know. And then Tanya on the phone throwing us way off the
I know. Then I was thinking maybe
gonna
she didn't die.
applaud her, though,
She was very
for
good with
keeping
that.
us on our toes.
And the thing that was interesting is she was listed in the credits tonight, too, on tonight's episode. So, I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe she got paid for that. I hope she got paid for that tip. That would have been sweet for her.
But let's go on to a couple other people as well. I want to talk about, I want to say the addicts, but just one. Letta Mae's storyline there. I know we talked.
Sorry.
She's always been slightly out of her mind, and today was no exception. I know we talked about maybe Reverend Daniels potentially. I don't think he is. I think he's a nice guy, and how he treats Letta Mae, like how we saw earlier, trying to keep her in, and he's staying in too, so he's not even going to the party, and he's somebody that's also attached to the town, so he's being there for his woman, and she slips him some Benadryl, so
there you go. So she can get
Works
some
every
Willa's
time.
blood.
Right. But you know what was interesting is that at first I'm pretty sure, I felt like the writers were trying to do this, is when she had that moment, we're thinking, oh, she's going to be crazy when she came in to do the toast. And everything was like, oh, maybe I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, like she's being normal and she had this moment. And I was thinking, oh, well, maybe we all shouldn't be so quick to judge her being crazy.
I'm still going to give her that moment. I'm still going to give her that was a good moment. It just was a really good speech.
No, it was, but for that moment there, I thought, oh, okay, well, because everyone's like, and Lala's like, oh, there she is being, she's going to be crazy. What is she doing here? And then she had that. I was like, okay, maybe she'll be normal now. And of course, I was left disappointed, and I should have assumed otherwise that she wouldn't have been.
Maybe she's not crazy, and maybe Tara really is trapped in like limbo. Yeah. Maybe she's completely right.
But her reactions are still crazy.
I tend to think, who was it out of you guys that thought that she's the one that killed Tara? The more I see of her, the more I think that's true. Because even the speech, it felt like...
Was it JC that said that?
She was angry.
Say it was JC, but I don't know.
It was not me.
The more I see of it, like even her speech, it was good. Yeah. I was still kind of watching it, thinking that how much anger she had. And I felt like there were pauses in between it that just seemed like... I felt like she was almost going to say that I killed her. And maybe Tara isn't in limbo. She's just thinking she is, and she has to save her because she killed her. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with, I think that Lady Mae's just right,
and she actually is,
because I think I don't know even why I feel that way, but I'm just gonna side with her because I think it would be a very interesting perspective on the world.
I want to hear what our YouTube people have to say.
Yeah.
What's going on in her head? Is it true? Is it
false?
True? Is it addiction?
Yeah, because in a way it could be, if she did kill her, it's a way of her being able to like absolve herself, and the guilt is like figuring out and trying to get her, to forgive her and all this stuff. So
and poor Willa
could drive her to do some crazy stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
stab Willa in the middle of a party.
That big kitchen knife. I was like, oh my god.
Why
was it out there?
Late, right?
It was just randomly there by the drinks. I was like, that was
humongous.
I was like, that was bizarre too. I was like, why was this ginormous kitchen butcher knife like right there by the drinks?
Something tells me Jackson's Jenny didn't put that away.
So random.
I loved though when it got handed back. Here's your knife.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, thanks. She's like, I'll go ahead and put this back.
Great, with all on the table,
with all the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's all good.
Lala had to go take care of that. And
true.
Mm-hmm.
But when we saw Willa, and we'll talk, let's get into Willa with beginning with Eric and Pam, and Willa being released.
Yeah.
Surprised anyone?
No,
not really.
We're all like,
right?
No, not at that point, because there's not that big of a connection between them.
No.
It kind of felt like one of those things where he was like, okay, I'm going to try and do one thing that you want, because obviously I wasn't. And I liked that her whole bargaining chip for like being released was like, I'm not going to tell you information. And I'm like, but you're not released yet. He could literally be like, Willa, I command you to tell me the information.
No, that was like ridiculous.
But it was, so I just took it to be more of like okay, you're still a child, but I'm going to try and do one thing that you actually want.
And I don't feel like he had too many other things to deal with, and she was just sort of
and he's
in the way.
And he's dying.
Right, so she's just in the way, I think, and a lot of stuff like, it's like, okay, fine, then I'll let you go.
Yeah. It was nice to see him back on his throne, which will probably be one of the last times we see him on that as well, since he's in Dallas. So,
what about Ginger?
Oh my God, that was...
oh my God.
You think he could leave her like that?
I know.
He should have, like, kissed her or something.
Something.
Like, it's just a kiss at least.
Come on,
Like,
give her a little something.
she's right.
15 years is a long time.
As a sex slave without the sex.
Exactly, that's what I wrote down here. That's
love
exactly
that.
what I wrote down.
There was
here.
also a subplot going on. Ginger's.
Ginger needs to get some Eric love.
She
I
does.
just feel
I'm like, come on.
just for a
Give
second.
her a little bit of loving.
You just put a heart by Ginger.
Yeah, I'm like,
Sarah just wrote a
aw.
heart next to Ginger on her note.
Ginger.
She's just too funny. And I like that we got to see her again, too, because
Yeah.
we really haven't.
That was kind of confusing. I'm still racking my brain around, like, what's been going on with Ginger? Like, you guys could fill us also in on
Yeah,
that.
like,
I was
what has she been doing when Eric was gone?
What's stuck in my head is obviously flashback Ginger. And I'm like, so where has real time Ginger been?
Exactly.
Because I feel like the last time we saw her was at the end of last season,
Yeah.
where she was like, you can all drink from me. And
Right.
she was hanging out with them. And then Eric left and Pam left.
That's right. Eric and Pam have been gone. So what has she been doing in the meantime?
She's been well, obviously. No.
But she obviously wasn't at Fantasia, unless they kept her hidden away somewhere like the Hep V vamps, or she was just at her house.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
chilling.
It was odd because it was all of a sudden she was there, and I was like, well, where has
Did they
she been?
call her in? Like, hey,
Hey, we're back. Come
Fantasia's
back to work.
Back, yeah, up and running.
I'm sure someone
sorta.
knows and can tell us.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a great moment. She's
Yeah.
on the coffin,
Yeah, that was
like,
hilarious.
no, take me away.
Like, like, hello. Like, she was not getting off of that. That was really good.
I did. I love that moment.
But what tops that moment is their outfits when they arrive.
So really quickly, just to cover our bases, so they go down to Dallas. They find Sarah Newland's sister is a vampire who's okay with killing her. So they're going to help find out where the parents are, because that's where Sarah's going to go. So that was a kind of cool backstory learning about
It was.
Amber and Jeremy, and that he ended up dying from Hep V. So obviously her sister's the one that gave them that, so she has no problem with them dying. But yes, they go dressed up as what did she call it? I can't say it.
I know. I was like, that
You
word
can't
is so
say
bad, but it was hilarious.
Republic.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday, exactly. But how
God.
fabulous was her
That
hair, though?
outfit,
I'm just
I
gonna
mean, her hair
say
looked
that.
amazing, but the outfit was just so great.
Yes.
The
And him
outfit
with the
was
cowboy hat.
Permanent residence for
Yes.
Pam.
Oh
No,
yeah,
Pam
I
was
think
just so
Eric
hot.
should always be in a cowboy.
I know that was pretty hot for both of them, and I just thought it was funny too because I feel it was the first time in the entire series that they were like with real politicians, and so it was all of a sudden they were at the George W. Bush Library with Ted Cruz, some fundraiser, and I was like, oh wow, they're actually throwing real people in here this time, so that was interesting too.
Shindig.
Yeah, it was interesting that they finally did that for all these seasons, and I thought it was funny. Of course, obviously, it didn't stay funny.
No, I'm not sure how I feel about this. What is it?
Yakuza?
Yakuza. Group that's just going around shooting. I mean, that's gonna make news, especially
Exactly.
if all those famous,
Right, you're busted into a library.
But they
Politicians.
seem to be
presidential
obviously
library.
common knowledge at the same point. Like,
Yeah.
because her mom was very aware of what the Yakuza was. So maybe they're like known for
doing that
this.
kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
So brutal.
Yeah,
So
but it just seems odd that they
violent.
were able to get through so easily into this, presidential library, into this event. It just like they just kind of shot everybody like it was so easy. So that was kind of odd to me too.
I mean, they're
if they were known as being such a threat, you would think, like they even said, like security is going to be so difficult earlier in the episode than it
but
wasn't.
security for there were a lot of security guards, but security for like a regular people is easy. Security for trained people with machine guns. Or not, whatever they were guns.
If you have a machine
Not so
gun
easy.
or whatever,
Well, yeah,
it's gonna.
and like they said earlier, I
win.
mean, and it was sort of like what Arlene had said earlier, about if you have a gun, it doesn't matter if you have a gun, it can be big and strong. So in a way, it was sort of like they did the foresight of like what was going to happen
that's
later on in that
true.
episode
Very good
about
point.
kind of overpowering, but it still felt like, oh, they were so easy, you know?
Does that mean the gentle caressing of the face as they changed was also foreshadowing? Was that more the makeup touch-ups?
The makeup touch-ups, yeah.
And the tears?
Yes.
I hope
so
not.
I hope not either.
I don't want to have them hooked up. I love them just as they are.
I do too. That's what I'm saying. That's what it almost kind of bothers me if they hook up, because it just doesn't seem right.
So then we end that whole section with Eric finally finds Sara after she confronts her mom, which I thought was hilarious.
Yes.
Not confronts her mom, but meets her mom.
Meets
and
her
that
mom
was
in the
pretty
bathroom
funny.
there, yeah.
Then mom just gets killed.
Mom and dad
Yeah.
get killed.
She just left her mom kind of back
I
there.
know, I was
she
like,
wasn't
what?
running very fast. Like, sorry, mom, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I was like,
There
that
was
awful.
a go on baby, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
thrown in there.
Yeah, and then Eric has her, and the Yakuza comes up, and Eric is just bam bam, like just gets all of them. So now Sarah's,
which also I thought was
Okay.
interesting too, because I thought it felt like in the past, he was sort of overpowered by them, and then now with him being sick, it seemed like it was very easy for him to take them out, which I thought was interesting too.
yeah, because as we saw in the last episode too, he's not as strong as he used to be.
That's why I thought it was.
So maybe it was just motivation.
Yeah, the adrenaline, if vampires have it, of like going in there, because that's what I thought was interesting. It was like here he felt like he was overpowered by them years ago in France, and then now when he's sick, he was able to just like 2 seconds.
Maybe
The
that's
other ones was more like threatening. Like
Yeah.
They had an upper hand in that matter.
That I get, but it still was like I was kind of caught off guard by how easy
He's
he was
just
able to
having
kill
a
them.
revenge spree.
That's
Yeah.
true. He doesn't have to keep an eye on anybody like it was with Sylvie. It was just
Right, and I know he had to do that to make sure we move forward in the plot line here with him having Sarah, so he had to kind of do that.
very interested to see what they do with her.
Right, me too.
And I think it'll be really funny because Anna Camp is great. What was her line?
know.
I'm not a monster.
I'm
I'm
a monster.
Buddhist.
I'm a Buddhist. I know, that was great.
And then really
I'm
quickly,
calling her mommy. I was like, oh my god.
let's get to Bill with his flashbacks. His Gone with the Wind flashbacks. That's what I kept
Why
thinking.
were
it
these
was.
in here?
Well, I mean, I thought the first one, I felt like he went back when Jane Boathouse was there, and he went back, and that made him think about that past there with her long lost relative, saying like, oh, we don't want Yankee sympathizers here in the bar. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what's the whole connection with now.
I don't know, because it was boring.
No, but it was interesting because the only way I thought was the first one with the boathouse thing. I was like, oh, now I see the connection of why he had the
they're
flashback.
like-
But what does it have to do with
They're
anything now?
building up all these random characters, like his,
Charles
and like
yes, and Minus,
the guy who
and
Minus and his like wife again. I
the
was like,
Civil War.
I was like, you guys, we have 5 episodes left.
I know, so that's why I'm.
Why are you bringing in flashback
Exactly.
characters?
And I thought
Like-
the
and what
interesting
the point is.
with Caroline, one of the moments he had too was he said to her, "You're my first and only true love," and she's like, "Oh, you are mine." So is he are they not setting up Bill and Sookie? Are they setting them up for him to move on or to show that he has? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's an interesting point.
because then at the end when Sookie comes out, drunk Sookie comes out to see him, he says, this guy and girl friendship thing, like I haven't done this before, and this episode with him really threw me off, and I didn't quite get the points of him being in there. Maybe just the show again emphasize he's this great guy and we should like Bill and forgive him for everything he's done. That's what I kept thinking.
I know, that's what I was saying, but like you said, you bring like a point. Like, are they trying to like now make it seem like they're not going to get together because they made it seem like they were getting back together, and that's why I'm like they're just confusing everybody? Is it?
I don't even know. I don't even know if I'd labeled it as confused though. I would just label it as like that.
No words from Sarah. Just
I'm sorry. Like there are very few things that like make me kind of angry at the show, and like this is our last season. I guess hopefully I'll be taking all my words back next week.
Right,
And
there's
gonna be
a
some
reason
payoff,
behind it.
And I'll be like, oh, I get it. But for this week, being halfway through, I was so taken out of it every time with the flashback, and I was
agree.
very unhappy.
And not understanding what the real reason was behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally
Like
with you on that.
I understand. I mean, and maybe it would have happened better if we got the little sneak peek of the cut B before. Like if he knew that, maybe I would understand the flashbacks more, or the like distancing from Sookie. But I remember he was about to look in that mirror, and I literally thought when he woke up out of the bathtub that he was like thinking more of like along suicide lines.
Yeah, I thought
And
that
then he
too.
was also like surprised at that V, and I was just like, this isn't making sense.
Kind of like maybe I should have ended up in the ground with everybody.
Yeah.
So let
Exactly.
me take care of that. Yeah, and then we find out he is Hep V, which he drank from Sookie. That's the only recent one we've seen.
Right, that we've seen.
I mean, he could have drank something else. Who knows how that all mixed up, but
Right.
you know, that was kind of a crazy that got me going, okay, what is going on?
Right.
Agreed.
But I think it goes
They
back
caught my
to-
attention.
Me too, and I think they had to do it at the very end, that last scene, obviously, too, so they couldn't have done it earlier to show us. But was it you guys, or was it JC? Who was the one that mentioned, too, that Sarah, that Sarah has the cure and that she'll be able to, I forget who it was that mentioned that.
I think I
was
said that
somebody-
I was hoping that maybe Sookie had the cure.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't think so.
I think it was one of our viewers
Maybe it
actually,
was
and
one of
then
them
we
that
mentioned
viewers-
it.
Okay,
to be
yeah, because I know
perfectly
somebody had
honest.
mentioned it, so I'm like, that would be interesting if she did. I don't know.
Yeah,
Let me figure that
and
out.
she's the one that helped create.
Right, that helps.
Maybe she knows how to fix
Exactly.
it. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Be an interesting way of bringing her
Let's
back in the loop there.
Get into our predictions then.
Should be.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Any?
I feel like I'm like
First
never excited for predictions, but this week I'm kind of feeling like I was like, I feel like it's gonna be a really fun episode next week. I just shook the table.
Yeah, you were that excited.
You
I
were
was
so
that
excited.
excited. I was just like, I saw like, I think Violet's gonna be.
I'm so excited to see what she
I
does.
know.
Why? It's going to be so fascinating.
It's
I think just
gonna be good.
both like visually and mentally fun to watch. So that I'm really excited for. I think that we're going to see some shifting of like alliances. I mean, we just watched that, the promo, and I can never keep things straight from the promo. Like they edited together where I'm like, who's with who?
Right.
Like I was like,
You're supposed to feel confused.
right?
with
I'm
it.
like, it seemed like I was like, is Jessica somehow with Sarah Newland? Like, what's happening? I was
that would be an interesting
confused.
twist.
It would
I was
be.
like, throw her in there. But I think that it's gonna be fun. I think that we have to have some sort of reveal of Bill.
We
Seems
do.
to be spreading.
Yep.
And so that means I think we're going to get some sort of answer for the cure or what the actual root cause is. Like we are getting some information next week, I think.
You think it'll be next week? I don't think it'll be next week. I think they're going to try to push it off a little bit longer and make it a little more threatening. Like, is Eric really going to die? And, is what's going to happen with Bill now? Because obviously, too, in that preview, it's like for him, it seemed like it accelerated very fast.
And again, maybe if
very
it
aggressive Hep V form. Is it
if
getting worse?
Yeah, if it was something from Sookie, potentially,
Yeah.
because when she got covered with all that blood,
Yeah.
she said she didn't get any in her mouth or something.
Right,
Maybe
but see,
she did.
that's like so hard. It's like saying when you're like taking a shower and you're like, "Oh, I didn't get any water." How do you
Yeah,
really
I mean,
know? Like you might have gotten a little bit in your
something.
eyes or something. But yeah, so it has seemed quite aggressive, and so I'm curious. Like maybe will Eric make it or not, and then it'll be too late for him, and then Bill will. I don't know. So it'll be curious to see. But I don't think we're gonna get the answers quite yet next episode. And I don't know how everyone's going to pair off. I still feel like there's going to be some more deaths of our beloved characters here. Because I don't feel like we're going to be able to neatly tie up all these relationships now and be like, okay.
I'll stand with you on that one.
Yeah, like happily ever after now.
Violet, I feel like is going to go on a spree.
Absolutely.
And I
She's
think
not
at
gonna
the
take
end
that.
of it, somebody's going to end up killing her. I don't think it'll be the next episode or anything,
Right.
but I think she'll cause some havoc, and then that'll be it.
With maybe an Adeline.
Maybe. And then
Yeah.
Adeline with Wade was so
Yes.
funny too, poor girl. I have
know.
a feeling they'll try to hide their feelings for each other, and maybe it won't happen, or they'll be too grossed out about it.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and I hope Eric finds the cure. I feel like now with Eric and Bill, I think one of them will be cured and the other one will have to die.
See, that's what I think too. I'm with
One
you
of
on that
those
one.
two.
Ooh,
All
but
right.
who?
But who will
Exactly.
be?
Scott, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at SMan80. That's SMAN80. And here on Thursday nights for the Defiance After Show.
And Sarah?
Hi, guys. You can find me here, AfterBuzz TV, also on Anatomy of a Movie.
You can find me, Kristin Carole, and on Twitter at Kristin Carole 13. I'll also be at the Guardians of the Galaxy premiere, which will be up early this week as fast as I can get it on. And then end of the week, I'm at Comic-Con covering for AfterBuzz TV, so I'll have more fun interviews for you guys there. So
Crazy week.
thank you again for tuning in for True Blood. We'll see you guys next week. And sorry, I know I told you Riley Smith was supposed to be here. He had to cancel last minute. We're figuring out a different day to have him on.
Yes, but check out our spotlight, though.
Yes, check out our spotlight with Carolina Wydra, a.k.a. Violet. See you guys next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.